Hey everyone, it's Pamela from the Heart of Grieving, and I am just connecting here for my Zoom live feed into the group. So I need just a little second here. And tonight is day 2 of navigating the holidays in grief. And I'm so glad that you're here with me. Let's make sure this percolates over into the group. It takes a minute to live stream in. So I want to say welcome to everyone. Please make sure you leave a little comment or message me anything that you want to share with me. And what I'd like to do is start out by making sure that you've downloaded the handout. I do have a lot of notes that you can follow along with, and then you can make notes in it as well. And I do a guided imagery here in these sessions because I like to set the space of your interconnection so that you're able to support yourself. Grief is so mercurial, and your emotions can come up, as you know, and it's important that we set a space where you're able to be there for yourself, since we're not doing one-on-one coaching here. Um, the So here I am doing this navigating the holidays in grief, and it's such a profound topic. um, but most of these tips and tools and things I go over, they work any time of the year and in many different situations. Most of them are about connecting you and keeping you coming back to this sense of alignment um, that grief tends to rob us of. There's so much that we end up going through, but I always want to remind my clients that somewhere deep inside that you have this loving aspect of yourself, um, that that cares for you and can help you navigate this experience. Um, so tonight we're dealing with the world, and the reason I have this in my holiday session, even though it's such a universal any time of the year topic, is that during the holidays you're spending so much more time with people that can be your most triggering people, family members, um, more coworkers, more social situations come up during the holidays. So instead of maybe another time of the year where you can withdraw more, you're just kind of put out more into the world during the holidays. And that really can be so much extra pressure and so much conflict. And one of the things about being in grief, one of the many things, is that maybe different power struggles or conflicts you've had with people that really stayed under the surface may really come up not only during the holidays but also when you're in grief. So it's it's very charged this time of year in grief. So I just want to remind you that this is a safe space. I keep the group private for a reason. um, I just like that I've had some contact with everyone that's in this group, and anytime you need to ask me questions or hop on a free little consult call with me, I will make myself available to you. I do some limited one-on-one grief coaching, not a lot, because I'm teaching courses and writing content and finishing a book. But I'm always happy to make space for that, especially this time of year when it really might be needed. So I want to remind you that to me and to everyone, all grief matters. There's no judgment in this group. There's no judgment from me. And in any comments, it's important to be kind to everyone else in this group. I think we all know whether or not our grief and loss was the same, we understand this incredibly impactful and challenging experience that is grieving in modern society. So grief varies moment by moment, hour by hour, day by day. So if any emotions come up for you while you're watching this, it's okay to just step away. This is what I mean by having you connect first internally with this loving, wise adult that we all have, or higher self, whatever you'd like to call it, because that's the part of you that might say, you know what, this is feeling a little much right now. I'm kind of surprised that I'm feeling this emotional. You can step away, or if you're watching the replay, pause it and come back to it another time. Um, if you want to comment on who you're honoring, I always love to see that, but it is a bit challenging for me to watch for comments during the live feed. I want to just give you um, a tiny little background on me and why I'm a holistic grief educator and holistic grief coach, art therapy practitioner, grief movement guide, holistic health practitioner, and some other things I'm probably not even thinking of, and that I've spent 3 decades studying um, holistic wellness, spiritual wellness, mental, emotional, and physical wellness, and bringing that experience and that wisdom to grief work is my life purpose. So I always start by thanking you for allowing me to share the reason for my life. I have this work empowers me to bring purpose and meaning and honor to all of the loved ones that I've lost. So by showing up and helping you, I honor them. And that means everything to me. So thank you for being here. The Facebook group and these seminars are what I call my lightest content, because I'm not working one-on-one with you, or we're not in a committed class for months at a time. It's a different relationship to do these seminars. So this is where I like to, I think of a set of scales when you're in grief, that all of this is the loss and the pain and the sadness and the difficulties and the feelings of brokenness, all of the stuff over here, that in these seminars, what I'm looking to do is add something onto this side, a little bit of light, a little bit of understanding, of validation, that when you hear me talk about things, you may say, I didn't know that. I didn't know that that was healthy grieving. Like everyone's grief experience is unique. And it's important that you honor the way that you need to grieve, and however long you take to grieve, and how you experience it. No judgment, not from anyone on the outside and not from you on the inside. Which brings me to last Thursday's day one was a griever's rights. So if you haven't watched that replay, you might want to watch that after this, because what I intended to do is to start with this setting boundaries from the inside between you and you allowing your grief experience without judgment and with compassion, so that you're strengthening this core of understanding and allowing and validation that whatever you're experiencing and however you're functioning in your grief, that's your grief experience. So tonight is dealing with the outer boundaries and dealing with other people. So I don't know exactly what each of you are dealing with. So I will keep this moderately universal, but know that this content applies to the world in general, a place of work, and family members, groups of friends, or to a specific individual. So, if you have a power struggle, or there's that person, family member, friend that really you're having a charged experience with while you're grieving, either you're feeling judged or there's some conflict going on there. So I'd like to start with the guided imagery, so that we can set this space of intention and addressing any external conflict or need for boundaries in a more loving way. Like we're so discombobulated when we're in grief that sometimes we kind of lose our own balance of how we're even dealing with other people. So I always say you want to err on the side of assuming that someone means well unless you know otherwise. So let's just start. I've got my little guided imagery here. So what I ask you to do is get comfortable, and you can stay seated, and or you can recline a bit if you like. The more relaxed you get physically, the nicer it is and the easier it is for you to get into a deeper space of relaxation. So feel free to lay down and recline, because if you're not engaging your muscles to stay seated upright, you're in a deeper relaxed state. So if you stay seated, please don't be driving a car while we're doing these guided imageries. They are deep relaxation, and they are working with deeper subconscious, non-conscious aspects of yourself, not the front brain that is look both ways before you cross the street or before you uh, drive a car. So please be safe with these things. They're more powerful and deeper than they seem on the surface. So if you're seated, you can just close your eyes and take a nice deep breath and relax. Just, you can even scrunch up all your muscles around your neck and your shoulders, and then release them with a deep blowing out of breath, like you're blowing out candles on a birthday cake. And if you're seated, be aware of the back of the chair against your back, against the seat, against the back of your legs. Feel that contact between your body and the chair, or your body and pillows. And if your feet are on the ground, feel that solidness of your feet touching the floor or the ground, and feel how supportive that feels. Or if you're laying down, how supportive it feels to have your spine against something so solid and so there for you. And I say, I prefer to put one hand over my heart and one hand over my belly, so that as I take a deep breath, I want to feel my belly expand into that hand. Inhale all the way down into your belly, and exhale. You can even gently push your belly in a bit to exhale. Inhale through your nose and out through your mouth. Very slowly, with ease, no pressure. Don't force this. And then just gently allow a natural inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Feeling that supportive hand on your heart and the grounding hand on your belly. And as you expand your awareness of this sense of feeling relaxed, of slowing down, of feeling your body and your muscles relax with each breath, allow into your awareness a nice circle of light and safety. You can either be aware of it, or you can feel it, or see it, or hear it if it has a buzz or a musical sound. Allow any awareness of a big circle around you. There's no right or wrong answers here. There's no judgment. There's only ease and allowing. As we open up this connection and communication with these deeper, loving parts of yourself. And be aware of this circle, and know that this circle, within this circle, with you in the center of this circle is a place of absolute safety. And as you become aware of the circle, just take notice. Does it feel or seem like it's quite close to you? Or is the perimeter further out? You can adjust this circle to be bigger or smaller, whatever feels right to you. There's no right There's no wrong. There's only right now and what you need in this circle of safety that also is a circle of unconditional love for you. The safety is for you. This circle can change into any shape or structure that you need, and just know that you have anything you might need at your disposal in this circle. Any tool, any backup is here for you. So now I ask you to just allow into your awareness, just free and easy, any awareness of any issue or conflict with another person. Now, this may be people in general, in a universal sense. You can allow this to be very broad and even just vague, or it can be allowing a particular person that you may be having a power struggle with, or someone that you may feel is not supporting you in your grief in the way that you need for you. So envision who this person or who these people or who this awareness is of. It could be with just the world in a very universal sense. But envision this and just hold that awareness, either seeing it, feeling it, or just allowing that it exists. No judgment. Where in your body do you feel any of this conflict or power struggle? Just allow any thoughts, any feelings, perhaps any tension that you're aware of in your body. Just allow awareness of it. How do you feel about this in your emotions? Is there an emotion attached to it? Again, just allow awareness of it. You're allowing this higher loving self that you have inside of you to just take notice in this safe, unconditionally loving space. What thoughts do you have about this person or these persons? Allow any first thoughts. It's very important to allow first impressions. Those usually come up from the deepest areas of our non-conscious. Don't think your way through it. Just allow any awareness. If you can distill a thought into a single sentence, just allow that. And as you observe this, you can allow into your awareness, are you in conflict with this person or these persons, or are you in avoidance with this person or these persons? Is there a little of both? How long has this been going on? Does this feel old? Does it feel recent? Or does it even feel timeless? Sometimes when we have power struggles or conflict from early in life, they can be pre-verbal. So don't worry about specific details or adult thinking something through with a story. Just allow awareness. And now, if you have not already done so, I want you to allow whatever judgment you may have about this other person or these other persons to just allow awareness if you are holding a judgment about this situation or this person or these persons. And if you have not already allowed them into this beautiful, safe, unconditionally loving circle, I invite you to invite them into this circle for just a few moments so that you can create some resolution with this experience. Again, if you feel you need other support, you can pull in anything you want or need as support into this circle. When the person or persons are in your circle, keeping it simple and in very clear, clean language, say whatever you need to say to this person or these persons. Just allow expression of your feelings, of the situation, of the conflict, and express yourself for as long as you need to. Keeping your breathing going with that hand on your heart and the hand on your belly that supports and grounds you. Now you may allow, if you wish, this person or persons to have a response. It's completely up to you. You may see an expression on their face, be aware of a response. You may hear a response, or they may just take in your message, and that may be enough. That may be enough. And if you have not told them in your first expression to them what you need from them, please do so now. It can be very simple and short. I need this from you. And lastly, I want you to tell yourself what you need from you. Allow in whatever forms of resolution are needed. You can simply allow the other person or persons to leave the circle. You invited them in, you can invite them out. If you still feel any kind of power struggle with them, I want you to envision a rope that you're holding on to one end and they hold on to the other. And in this tug of war, this power struggle, what I'd like you to do is let go and allow them to leave the circle. And what we're doing here is looking inside to see if there is any new contract that you would like to have with that other person or persons. It can be very simple, but this new way going forward, I'd like you to state that to yourself as a contract of this is how this relationship or this dynamic or this experience with each other will be going forward. And give yourself your word that you will hold that contract for yourself going forward. And to close this, it's important to just take a moment to acknowledge that you are facing and doing and shifting deep work, that you can offer thanks to yourself, thanks if appropriate to the other person, and thanks to these loving, wise, higher versions of yourself for supporting and being there for you. And when you're ready, you can dissolve that beautiful circle. And as you take in a few deep breaths, just come back into full awareness in the room. You can give yourself a great big hug, stretch a little bit, and just allow these beautiful things that happen in deep work to continue to unfold. The thing about deep work like this is that it continues on. You've started something rolling here, something that has a life of its own, that this soul to soul conflict resolution will continue. It might continue in, you might have dreams about this, or just more awareness that may come to you over the next few days or weeks. So I've given you a handout about dealing with the world. And so what we just did was an exercise in creating healthy boundaries with other people. That we started with grievers' rights last week, that you have the right to have the experience you're having in your grief. But colliding with other people in the real world becomes a different scenario. But I wanted you to start with that inner strength before you're dealing with the outer boundaries, because this isn't a matter of running around and pointing at people and saying, you're not respecting my grief, you're not treating me the way that I need to be treated. It's about creating this dynamic from the inside out. So one of the things that is important to remember with creating boundaries with other people is knowing when and how to walk away. That if you're engaging with someone that isn't meeting your grief needs, we'll call them, or isn't respecting the way you need to be treated while you're in grief, then you have the right to walk away. I came up with a few sort of holiday scenarios for dealing with the world. And some of them are, these are in your handout, having to tell someone new about your loss. This could be someone at a work party. I'm assuming family might know about your loss. It may be running into someone in the grocery store because you might have to physically be out and about more than you would like to be during the holidays. So one of the things that I help clients with in responding to a grief illiterate world, a world that is so disconnected from dying, death, and grief, that not only do they not know, they don't even know what to feel about it. They certainly don't know what to say to you if they run into you or they're having a conversation with you. You've probably already found this out the hard way. My take on our society is that because we're so grief illiterate, that people just want dying, death, grief, and anything to do with it, including the griever, as far away from them as possible. They just don't know how to do it. That's why a lot of people come up with fixing statements, toxic positivity, spiritual whitewashing, oh, they're with, insert spiritual deity here, or toxic positivity forms of that are, if an elderly person died, they could be saying, oh, well, at least they had a really long life. Like your grief is still your grief. Or at least they're out of pain now. They may be statements that are technically true, but they aren't compassionate, empathetic, loving statements. They feel like fix-it statements because the person just doesn't know what to say. Now, one thing I always make sure that I tell my clients is I am not telling you to go out there and train the world on how to support grievers or how to speak to grievers. Um, that's not your job, not while you're in grief. If down the road you decide you want to help other people in grief and you want to train other people, that's fantastic. You reach out to me and you let me know. But for now, your only job is taking care of this. And part of that is creating boundaries with other people and learning how to navigate when you butt up against people who are insensitive or grief illiterate. So, what I have people do is I call them, we write out our back pocket sentences. These are 5-second responses that you will have at the ready, that when you run into someone, and let's say it's having to tell someone brand new that doesn't know about your loss, you were just trying to run to the grocery store for milk, and there's this person you haven't seen in a year, and they don't even know about your loss. Now, this one is a little bit of a gimme. To me personally, you have the right to not bring it up. That if they aren't asking, oh, how you are, I heard about your loss of your loved one, that's a different scenario. But I think you get to take that as a freebie. That if they don't know, you can just say, "Hey, happy holidays. Been a tough year, and it's nice to see you. I'll be in touch." You have every right to not disclose your loss. That's your right as a griever. That's why I want you to rewatch day one with Grievers' Rights. There's a lot in there. Um, if they do know about your loss, we're going to come up with some back pocket sentences for you, back pocket responses, and they're fast and they're easy. And even if you don't remember them verbatim, by writing them out and doing them as homework and speaking them aloud every day, you are going to create this stronger core from this loving, wise adult higher self place that is armed and ready. And this deep part of yourself knows it. This part of you knows I'm not going to get, shell shocked, or I'm not going to be surprised by this. You've got some readiness at hand. So some of the other scenarios during the holidays might be saying no to an invitation. I personally believe we need to bring back some of the old etiquette of being in mourning. The Victorians, who took mourning to a new art because of Queen Victoria, who lost her husband Albert at a young age, and she mourned for the rest of her life. And I think she lived to be 100. Uh, that's why the Victorians had so much black, and the black glass jewelry and the armbands and the black crepe and covering the mirrors with black and black wreaths on the door. They were a society that understood the importance and the power and the boundaries that being in mourning creates. It's very mentally healthy and protective. It's that sacred circle of safety, unconditional love, and safety. Now, are you going to cover your mirrors and only wear black? Uh, Great if you do. Most people don't in our society. I personally believe, I think we need to bring back mourning jewelry and the black armband, or things that signify that you're in mourning and that you are fragile and you need to be treated with kindness and with gentleness and compassion. Because a lot of times these things happen because people, either they don't know, or they're looking at you and they're just seeing the normal person that they're used to dealing with, and it's really not trickling down through their brainstem that they're dealing with a completely different person. You look the same to them, but we know you are utterly changed by this loss. So you need to be dealt with in a different way, but they don't know that. I'll be doing some supporter series workshops and courses to get that out into the world, to help sort of train people who are not in grief how to deal with grievers. So those will be coming up probably next year. One of the holiday scenarios is having to repeat your story of loss over and over and over. Now, what we know from trauma work, I've done a lot of trauma study. I've studied with Bessel van der Kolk, Frank Anderson. I've studied a lot of Peter Levine's work, Edith Eger, I'm a trauma-informed holistic grief educator. I feel that trauma and grief have a lot of parallels, but then there are definitely spaces where they diverge. But telling a traumatic story, as in the story of your loved one's death or long-term illness or everything that went wrong, those stories are now shown to be re-triggering of post-traumatic stress syndrome. They've done countless studies with veterans. This was back in the early days of trauma study, even in the 70s, that every time they told the story of the trauma, their PTSD lit up. They were covered with, brain nodes and doing scientific studies that and when your PTSD or trauma side lights up, the side of your brain that actually can think and remember and function well and make good decisions turns off. That's what trauma does. So when you're having to repeat your story of loss over and over and over, I don't want this for you. If you are telling a story over and over, I would rather it be one about the love. I'd rather it be a happy memory of your loved ones. Now, these stories ignite the love hormones because you're literally connecting and loving and filling yourself up with love and happy memories. Now, you may not be at that place in your grief, although, as I like to say, since I don't work in stages, I work holistically. It's not when you are in grief or where you are, it's how you are and who you are. Because you may be noticing that the holidays, the music, the food, the gatherings, the smells, the traditions, they're very triggering. And you may have lost someone 6 months ago, you may have lost them 6 years ago. And it's like you're right back in acute and early grieving, because grief doesn't work in linear time. Love doesn't work in linear time. So if you're having to repeat stories, one of the things I like to do is help you flip the script and control the narrative and tell loving stories. And we'll get to that in your back pocket responses. Setting a boundary is an important thing to do. We've just done this non-consciously. You can rewatch this and do that meditation about anyone. I do suggest that you do the soul-to-soul conflict resolution meditation about a specific person. Yes, I said you could do it universally, but that's because I don't know you right in this moment and what you're dealing with. A lot of my work has been very one-on-one in emotional release work, regression work, and like hypnotherapy, where we're really containing this story and I'm able to do a lot of back and forth with you in the moment so I know exactly what you're experiencing. So for when I'm doing live sessions, I'm looking to keep you as safe as possible because I'm not able to be there with you holding your hand. So setting a boundary, I do say that with the soul-to-soul conflict resolution guided imagery, just like with grief, we grieve each person we've lost individually. No matter how many people you've lost, even if they were at the same time, we grieve each person individually. I believe the conflict resolution exercise is its most powerful when you're doing it with a single person, because whatever that power struggle is, whatever the issue, whatever the history, whatever the timeline, whatever the dynamic is, it's such a unique relationship and it becomes more powerful. So if you have any questions about that, you either schedule a call with me or message me and I'm happy to get more specific about that. So we want to handle intrusive questions during the holidays. Another thing about our society that honestly, I just have so much issue with is just how I don't understand why people want to ask questions that are details that are really invasive and sensationalized. Like that, we're a very sensationalized society, and people ask questions that can be quite shocking, um, and not meaning to, but because again, they're looking at you and they're seeing the same person that they think they know. They have no concept that you are in a million pieces and you're putting yourself back together every day in a new way around your loss. So they may ask questions that really trigger or activate you just unknowingly or innocently, or obtusely. Um, there's also being told things that don't resonate with your experience. Now, that would be toxic positivity. Oh, thank goodness they're in a better place, or spiritual whitewashing. Another person's impression of what loss feels like, or trying to make you feel better, um, usually just doesn't land well. There is no feeling better from what anything someone else is going to say to you. So again, these back pocket responses will be quite helpful. Forced expectations of celebrations, gatherings, forced gratitude, forced jolliness. Uh, you're at possibly holiday gatherings. And I personally think, one, it's okay to not go. I think you get to say, I'm in mourning, thank you very much, but I'm going to stay in mourning at home. I'll I'll be in touch. Or you get to leave early. Uh, I think it's called an Irish exit when you leave without saying anything or without making your excuses. I think that's a perfectly legitimate way to leave a social gathering. I don't think you have to make a big deal out of leaving a party or a gathering. If it's a work gathering and you feel the respectful thing is to, take your boss aside and say, you know what, I'm glad I came, or, thank you so much, but I'm in mourning, so I'm going to leave now. Fine. But I do think it's okay to leave without saying anything. You can catch up with hosts the day after or a few days after. Send a thank you card. Um, there can also be, unfortunately, even people can be very unaware that they are doing this to grievers, that they are judging or shaming the way the person is grieving. You may have moments of pure, just happy memories, moments of joy, or laughing at a happy memory of a holiday from 20 years ago with that person. This all depends on you, your loss, your loved one, the relationship, the circumstances, and what you're going through, how much, what kind of internal work you're doing. But our society, then not only are you not supported fully in your grief, but then heaven forbid you have a moment of feeling aligned and okay for a millisecond, you're judged for that. So what we're going to do is, if you look at your handout, I am going to screen share here, and let's see here. I'm going to show you the handout if I can find it, so that I can go through these and you can look at them. Well, I think I just screen shared myself. Well, I'm going to stop the share because I have the wrong screen on. So in your handout, we have examples of back pocket responses. And the way to create your own, which is essential. Mine are only templates to get you thinking about what's going to work for my experience, the people I'm running into, and what I'm worried about experiencing when I go out into the world. So we are looking to handle invasive questions, invitations, people's condolences. You might just have a simple little response for that. Thank you so much. The ditto response to your loss. which is another way our society seems to handle grievers, that you express what you're experiencing with your loss. And instead of a simple, gosh, I'm so sorry. I can't imagine what you're going through. I am so sorry. I'm here for you. What you often get is the other person telling you their losses. So I call it the ditto response. No offense to Patrick Swayze in Ghost. This is a different ditto. So unfortunately, I think people are trying to say, gosh, I can really relate to what you're going through. But since every single griever's experience is a unique thumbprint, they really can't relate to what you're going through. It's sort of a it's sort of an amateur attempt to make you feel better and be more simpatico, but it doesn't really work that well. So responding to toxic positivity, spiritual whitewashing, and we need to circle back to that, because the toxic positivity and the spiritual whitewashing certainly come from outside, but I want you to be very mindful of doing this to yourself. That I don't want you, well, I'm going to pull myself up by my bootstraps. It's been 6 weeks. I should be feeling better. It's been 3 years. What am I doing? This judgment has to stop. That is not supportive, and it's not self supportive. The same with spiritual whitewashing, your own spiritual whitewashing. Whatever religion or belief system you have, that's beautiful and profound and powerful. But I don't want you to use it as a weapon against yourself. So that's really important, to sort of listen to that voice and make sure you are connecting with the higher loving versions of yourself, not the sort of critical voice or the judgmental self. Because I'll tell you a little secret: if you're judging yourself from the inside and you're treating yourself with toxic positivity, gosh, I should be feeling better by now. I should be back to work. I should be my old self. I should be acting like before the loss. Or if you're spiritually whitewashing yourself, you will find that mirrored in the outside world. So the more you can support yourself from the inside, like with the griever's rights and with that soul to soul resolution, you can do them over and over and over. The griever's rights replay has its own guided imagery in there about holding this space of understanding your rights to grieve as you're grieving. So these tools are powerful, not only for navigating your own experience, but for heading out into the world. It's kind of magical, actually. So other things we're handling here are your vulnerability. That's one of the things about being in grief. You're so vulnerable. And that soul to soul conflict is about navigating any of these things on an internal level, so that you can navigate them with more strength and more safety and more love out in the real world, instead of having them completely activate you or taking them so personally. Because in grief, all the doors blow off. We lose a lot of our filters, a lot of our, I call it, your egg is cracked. This safety that we've lived with most of our lives, it feels like that safe zone has been cracked when we have a loss of a loved one. So I want these sentences help you control the narrative a bit. I did mention I want you to avoid teaching other people a lesson in your grief. Just not now, not now. Just do your best and maintain your experience and be responsible for your actions as much as you can, and leave other people to their own devices. You're not responsible for them or for teaching them lessons in how to treat others in grief right now. Again, assume that others mean well unless you know otherwise. And you know who I mean. That person that you've already had issue with or power struggles with, or who really just isn't a kind person in your world. It may be time for them to be regulated out to a further concentric circle in your life. That's one of the things that happens in grief. We really learn, where's our safe people? I start with me as a safe person and my connection to spirit and love and unconditional love, with the universe, God, spirit, soul, whatever you want to call it, or with pets. and then family and mates and loved ones and children, and then there's safe, of course, good friends, and then there's the other people that are, they're not quite as close, they're not quite in the inner circle, but then sometimes grief really shakes everything up. This loss may be the catalyst for you to shift a relationship dramatically that isn't safe for you, because now interacting with this person, you can't you can't brush it under the rug anymore. It's so clear and it's so intense. So we're about to, I'm going to run out of time here. So I do want to say, when someone gets it right with you, when it's just, gosh, I'm so sorry. What can I do for you? Um, I want you to kind of acknowledge that in yourself and take a moment, because I don't, when it feels like everybody's getting it wrong, that becomes like a blanket. Gosh, no one is supporting me, my grief. Everyone says the wrong thing. That's not technically true. So when someone does say something that resonates well, you could say, oh my gosh, thank you so much for saying that. That means so much to me to hear you support me in that manner. That reinforces it in you. Again, it's not about training them. So your back pocket responses, I've got them in your handout. Some of my examples are, if you're asked a question, gosh, I'm not talking about, I say loved one is the person you've lost. I'm not talking about loved one's death right now, only their life. And then, would you excuse me? I personally feel that this is a 5-second interaction. They're short, they're sweet, they're succinct, they're very simple, they're easy, and then you detach. If you are not comfortable in this exchange because you're so vulnerable in grief, I don't want you sticking around. I mean, there may be some scenarios where they're hard to get away from, but you can just keep, this may not be your whole life way of dealing with people. I hope not. We'll get to deeper issues of how to deal with people with conflict. But right now, during the holidays, at parties or in social situations, you get to have a 5-second response and then get out. That means just walk away, go look at the hors d'oeuvres, go to the bathroom, go get a glass of water. Anything that can say, oh, excuse me, I see Larry over there. Anything that can just break that attachment with someone who isn't being supportive. So I have examples here that you can, one of your responses is, gosh, thanks for asking. If you have a happy story about my loved one's life, I'd love to hear it. Another one is, this is very personal or private for me, and I don't wish to discuss it right now. So thank you for respecting my wishes. And then you walk away. When it's invasive questions like that don't really help me right now. I made a Facebook page with all the information. Here's the page. So that might be about, how did they die? How did they, all those questions that are more sensationally based questions, that are more about illness and death instead of about life and love. About invitations, thank you for the invitation, but I'm in mourning for my loved one. I'll see you after the holidays. And if someone is making suggestions about what they did or what worked for them, you can say, I'm in grieving for loved one in my own way. I'm not open to suggestions right now. I don't want you to be passive aggressive, but I do feel that saying thank you and goodbye is helpful. I also really like using the royal we. There's something more empowering about that, instead of saying, gosh, I don't want to talk about that right now. I don't care if you're standing alone. It can be the royal we, or you have a mouse in your pocket. You're saying, gosh, we're not talking about their death right now. We're only talking about their life. So if you want to email me any happy memories about them, we're making a book of life and we're collecting stories, and then get out. It's okay to say your belief system is different than someone else's. Remembering that if you've done your inner griever's rights work first, these are delivered with as much neutrality as you can muster. These are not to be delivered as a weapon. These are that beautiful, sacred circle. This is the edge of that circle of safety and unconditional love. So you can envision that, whether it was a rainbow or sparkly golden light or whatever it was. I don't care if it was a ring of fire or a wall. Hopefully, I want some breathing room in your sacred circle, please. You can envision that even before you respond, and make it a 5-second response, and then detach. So in your handout, I have it here, KISSed. Keep it short, simple, easy, and detached. So the detached is a twofer. Not only are you staying detached as much as you can, as in you're not triggered and highly activated by whatever thoughtless, mindless things someone might have said to you. You're trying to have that space that you have in that circle. You have all the safety you need. That's somebody, they're outside the circle, and you can just say, thanks for asking. I'm not talking about it right now. I'm in mourning. But it's also the detachment is you get to walk away. 5-second interaction and you're out. So you can say that grief is unique to each loss. I just don't want you teaching lessons, but there's other examples in here. And if you have the great good fortune to have someone say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What do you need from me right now? Which is such a beautiful response. I like the response, if you'd like to help me, I could really use someone who just listens without judgment or even without response right now. And hopefully you are gifted with a really beautiful, loving, safe person who will allow you to express yourself, tell your story, say whatever you need to say in a judgment-free, unconditionally loving exchange. It might surprise you. You might actually find that person as you're holding the space for yourself. Um, it kind of starts to magnetize a little more of that. I know that sounds a little odd, but so the next page of your handout is you creating your own advanced back pocket responses. So this is your homework for this seminar. So before you do it, I want you to rewatch day 1 of Grievers' Rights. I want you to hold that space first, and I want you to create your back pocket sentences. I want you, once you've written them, this should be very specific to you. So if you're dealing with, I am grieving with my loved one in my own way, that might be not talking about it, or that may be not going to a party, or that may be whatever that is. The more specific you are with these, the more power they hold. They are very powerful when they're more specific. I want you to practice them at home, speaking them out loud. I want them to come out from here and out from here, because it gets this muscle developed of you speaking this powerful boundary for yourself. Time them. I want 5 seconds. I was timing myself with these as I was writing them out. Now I speak quickly, but I want under 5 seconds. And as you write these out and you put them on the mirror, put them in the car, put them on your phone and speak them and repeat them, this deeper part of you knows, you know what? I kind of have my back here. I kind of have this. I think I can, have less anxiety going to work today, although a work day is a long day in a public setting, or going to a party or going to a family function, that you have this armor of this way of navigating something that is such a big deal. Very important. Say it like a 3-year-old. Well, say it like a 3-year-old. Write it out in a 3-year-old's language. This is not you on the witness stand. You don't need a bunch of fancy language, the blah, 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 blah. This is, you know what? I'm hurting right now, so I'm not talking about it. Like really the way a 3-year-old would express themselves. That is powerful, heart-centered language, and you'll find it comes out very easy because you're not judging, gee, I didn't sound very smart there, or very fancy, or very legal, or whatever it is that we try to sound like when we're thinking of these things. This is, you know what, I'm in the worst pain of my life, so I can't even believe I'm here. Thanks for asking, I gotta go. Like, it's just got to be very simple and sweet and short, like a 3-year-old would say it. Add in your own. They're meant to be said aloud. So even though you're going to say them and meditate on them and read them every day, saying these really matters when you're in a situation that requires them. So I have a space here for you to write out your own. Please message me, send me your back pocket responses. I love to see the work that you do. And if you have any questions or you need any tips, you reach out to me. I'm here for you. And then the last page of the handout is a little note cheat sheet from the guided imagery. Because I cover so much ground in my guided imageries, I want you to make notes right after this video of each of these things. What did the settings look like? How did it feel in my body, my feelings, my thoughts? Who was I dealing with? What was the conflict? What conversation? Because I want the more details that you can get out and remember, it solidifies it more. It gets more powerful and more impactful. So I want to thank you for joining me tonight for dealing with the world and loving conflict resolution. And the last page of your handout has more courses and workshops and things that I offer. I am the founder of Mourning Goods, which is a beautiful collection of condolence gifts and mourning pieces. I give nice discounts to people in the group. So I actually think I have a bigger discount for people in the group than this 10%. So let me know if you need anything from me, and I'm thinking of you. And next Thursday night's topic is going to be about traditions and celebration, like a new take on old traditions and to celebrate or not to celebrate. So if you have any requests for week 4 and 5 of the last 2 weeks of the year, please message me. I'm sending you so much love and comfort for your loss. Truly, I see you. I see you. And from my heart to yours, I'm sending you love. Bye-bye.